AOC is a pathological liar. My generation is filled with fragile, fragile flowers. GameStop brings the internet together for but a brief moment, and BLM gets nominated and accepts a Nobel Peace Prize. Welcome to another episode of the Evening Talk Show. It has to be like my favorite video right now. So, why is my generation filled with fragile flowers? Well, in a recent fiasco, I would like to call it, a University of Illinois Chicago law professor, Jason Kilborn, was indefinitely suspended from his job. Now, why, may you ask, was he indefinitely suspended from his job? Well, it was because he was doing what professors do and was trying to teach his kids. That and what I like to call spoiled kid syndrome, just all mixed together, is what caused this man to lose his job. So, Jason Kilborn put a hypothetical question on his exam that deals with race and gender discrimination, and it goes as such. An employee quit her job after she attended a meeting which other managers expressed their anger at plaintiff, calling her a N blank and a B blank. Now this is literally what it says on the test. The letter N with a blank. The letter B with a blank. But this was enough to cause a massive outrage. The Black Law Students Association spoke out saying they were shocked. They couldn't finish the test because of how shaken up they were. Honestly, I would never ever want to be in a position of real danger with someone like this who is too fragile to finish a test because of a single letter that they see on a test. Because they would probably just straight up die from just sheer shock, honestly. One student said she had heart palpitations because of the pure shock of what her eyeballs were seeing. Like I've had heart palpitations before. I've had panic attacks before. That was only because I smoked myself into oblivion and I had a high induced panic attack. It's the only time. It's really the only time. Like, I was coming home, and I thought I was okay, but like halfway through the ride, I realized that I was not okay, and my heart started freaking pounding out of my chest. I thought it was going to explode. My freaking limbs started to go numb. I was like, dude, I think I'm gonna die. I thought I was gonna die. So I really thought I was gonna die. So I had to like calm myself. I had to like breathe like I was giving labor or something. But I was able to calm myself, but never have I ever had a panic attack or heart palpitations, goodness if I can speak, heart palpitations from a test question to the point where I couldn't finish it. It's never happened. But leave it to millennials and leave it to Gen Z to pull some ridiculousness like this. So what happened? A petition formed that demanded Kilborn take a cultural sensitivity class, for doing his job. But I guess, I'm just so curious as to what's gonna happen when they have to deal with things in real life. Like when they have to deal with cases that like might offend them in some way, because somehow they're going to be, you can always almost guarantee that that's going to be an issue because they're offended by freaking everything. But I'm really curious, like how are they going to deal with this? This is literally what I imagine. Like they'll be in the middle of a court case, and someone will say something that they don't like, and they'll just That's literally what I imagine that what would happen. And then following that, they would have to take a 2 day recess so that they can recollect themselves and then continue on with the case. So I'm really going to be interested to see how these people deal with things like um actual cases. So that's going to be funny how they're going to deal with the real world, but I honestly don't know how any of the millennial generation or Gen Z generation gets by in life without absolutely melting at every point. So, I mean, that's not even what Kilborn was suspended for. So, what he was indefinitely suspended for was something that he said during a Zoom meeting with a member of the Black Law Students Association. So, Kilborn was asked during this call why the dean hadn't given him the petition so that he can read it himself. To which he replied, I suspect that she was afraid if I saw the horrible things that were being said about me, I would become homicidal. Now, jokes. I mean, if you have any sense of humor, um, I mean, you can tell that he was joking, but in this day and age, um, nothing's a joke, and they're prohibited. They're illegal. Jokes are illegal. So, someone someone in the call reported that, and he was then indefinitely suspended for saying a joke. But I mean, I guess so this all started off with someone not being able to handle a test question, or multiple people not being able to handle a test question, which is so interesting to me. Like I really don't know the thought process of one of these people. I really don't. Like how how can a test question absolutely just set you off? But I mean, I guess. But why do I call it the spoiled kid syndrome? I cannot speak right now. I mean, all you really have to do is imagine a generic spoiled kid, and what happens when they aren't given exactly what they want, the millisecond they ask for it. They erupt in a massive fit of hysterics. They throw themselves on the floor. They start to cry uncontrollably. Sounds kind of familiar. They start banging their hands and feet against the floor, and and that is exactly what my generation has turned into. They have morphed into these huge, fragile little crybabies, and have taken on the head of the victim rather than the victor. Now, a lot of people believe that we would grow out of this. Like, a lot of older people thought that we would grow out of this, and it's just like, you were mistaken. You were gravely, gravely mistaken. I'm gonna put on my pop shield. I keep hearing that pop. I'm sorry if that was an ear rape, but um, yeah, they have brought this fragileness, they have brought this hystericalness to the real world, and these are the people that are shaping the world around us. You know what I mean? And you wonder why everyone is so offended by everything, and why literally everything is hate speech, and why everyone needs to be protected by every little thing ever. So, I mean, this is why we can't have nice things. It's literally why we can't have nice things. It's why the republic is about to fall. It's a bunch of reasons why. It's because these people don't know how to deal with real life. They don't know how to deal with things that offend them. They don't know how to deal with things that even slightly make them uncomfortable. And it's so sad. It really is sad because like they act exactly like children. Like this is why you don't have nice things around kids. It's why you don't get nice things around kids. It's why you don't put nice things around kids because they will break it. They will break it. You know what I mean? And then you give this nice thing to the millennial generation. You give it to the Gen Z generation, and they absolutely destroy it. They destroy it, and it's just such a sad sight to see. So, yeah. Moving on from that, we're gonna get to the GameStop. I just wanted to tell you about that because there is always a new thing that absolutely showcases the absolute fragileness of millennial generation and the Gen Z generation totally. But GameStop. Who in the world would have thought GameStop would have been the ones to unify the internet, even if it was for the briefest of moments, even if it was for like a day. It's probably for like a day or two, two max. It was like two has to be two max, but for like a day or two, the GameStop stock unified what seemed to be every single part of the internet, which was kind of cool. You know what I mean? Really gave you a glimmer of hope for humanity, until of course, the commies come by and say that they want to murder the hedge fund guys, then it just goes off the rails from there. But what the hell happened with GameStop? First, I gotta oh my goodness, I cannot speak. I got to explain some things. So first, hedge fund guys short sold some GameStop stock. Kind of a tongue twister. Now, this was following some recent leadership change at GameStop, which kind of created some optimism for the company, but the hedge fund guys knew that it wasn't really going to do anything. So they short sold the stock. So what is a short sale? A short sale is when someone thinks or notices that a certain stock is overpriced. This person can engage in a short sale to be able to capture the value of the overpricing. So you got a hedge fund guy. This guy believes that over a period of a month that the price of the GameStop stock is going to drop. So what does Mr. Hedgeman do? He thinks that the stock of GameStop is not really as valuable as it is, and he would be right, because I think before all of this happened, it was like $6 or something. It was something extremely low. I'm pretty sure it was $6. Something absolutely ridiculous that went up to, I think the height of it was like $400 and something, which is absolutely hilarious. So, Mr. Hedge Fund guy goes to a broker. I'm going to explain exactly what a short sale is and what it does. So, Mr. Hedgeman goes to a broker. That broker then lends Mr. Hedgeman the GameStop stock. So, Mr. Hedgeman is going to borrow that stock for about a month. Now, remember, Mr. Hedgeman thinks that the stock is overpriced and that it'll drop within the next month. So, that next month, he will return that stock to the broker plus a percentage fee of some kind. We'll say $10, okay? So we'll say $10. So what does Mr. Hedgeman do? He has this piece of stock that he believes is overpriced. So he'll go to the market and sell it. Say he gets $50 for the stock he just sold, okay? Now Mr. Hedgeman no longer has a stock. Keep in mind, he still needs to return that stock to the broker plus $10. So, Mr. Hedgeman, he waits about a month, and he was right. The stock was overpriced, and within that month, the stock price has dropped to $20. Previously, it was worth $50, sold it for $50, waited about a month, now it's $20. You know what I mean? So he was right. It went down. So, Mr. Hedgeman then buys back the stock with the $50 that he got from the initial selling of it. So now he's left for about $30, To finish off, he returns the stock to the broker and is left with $20. So at the end of all of this, Mr. Hedgeman profits about $20. The broker gets his stock back plus $10. Yeah, plus $10. Now, multiply that by like a lot of money. Multiply that by add a good few zeros behind that. So, I mean, that's why people do this, because you can get a pretty good amount of money from it. So this is what usually happens. No, this is what the Reddit bros did, okay? There was a Reddit thread called Wall Street Bets. And some Reddit bros noticed that all of the Mr. Hedge Fund guys and the whole hedge fund family were short selling the hell out of a GameStop stock by a lot. They were short selling it by a lot. So the Reddit bros were smart, because, as we said before, the Mr. Hedge Fund guys sold the stock to the market to capture the overpricing. So the Mr. Hedge Fund guys were in their waiting period. This is the short sale. They were in their waiting period. They short sold the stock. They were in their waiting their wait period. They're where they wanted to wait about a month for the price to go down, rebuy it, do the whole process so that they can capture the overpricing. Now, At this moment, the Mr. Hedge Fund guys don't have the stock anymore. They only have the money that they sold the stock for. So the Reddit bros proceeded to royally screw the hedge fund guys by artificially raising the price of the stock by buying every single stock that exists within GameStop. This is known as a short squeeze, okay? So the Reddit bros bought every one of the stocks, started the short squeeze. So now the price after the month is now $20. And Mr. Hedge Fund, as Mr. Hedge Fund guy thought it was going to be, it rose to $200. Now, Mr. Hedge Fund is absolutely screwed. He's now in the hole $160. So he's losing money because the price went up instead of down. Now the Reddit bros don't really care about the GameStop stock. It's not worth $400, and they know that, you know. But really, for the only way for this to continue, and I'm pretty sure it's gone down now. I think the last time I checked it was at like $90, so it's gone down pretty well. But the only way for this to continue to work is if they hold on to the stock. That's the only way that they can keep this up. You know what I mean? The only way they can keep this price inflated the way that they did was if they hold the stock, and if they sell it, you know, the price goes down. You know, that's why you're seeing, I don't know if anybody saw them, because I came by a few of them on my timeline, but there was a lot more on Reddit where they were saying, you know, hold the line, do not sell, because, you know, if they did, Mr. Hedge Fund guys can cash in on what they were initially going to do. But there were people who were using this, who were seeing this and noticing that if they sell, they can get a pretty fat check. So like, it was, people were telling them not to sell, but a lot of people saw that if they did sell, that they would get a pretty good check. So it was just inevitable that this was gonna happen, and the hedge fund guys knew this, so they continued to double down on their short sell, which I mean, it's just a good tactic because they saw that it was going to crash at some point, you know, and that's what happened, you know, because it's like down, I think it's like probably less than 90 now. So now that we've gone through the whole ropes of the issue, you know what I mean, the short squeeze and why they did it, you know what I mean, they were trying to absolutely just wreck the hedge fund guys. I think by the end of all of this, the hedge funds were out $70 billion. Okay, they were out a lot of money, you know. So I'm pretty sure they were trying to bankrupt that whole hedge fund, but it didn't happen. But what this is where, like, I guess the outrage comes in, right? The I'm sorry, I'm like, it's my place. Okay, so a bunch of tech companies didn't really like that the Reddit bros were doing this, because a lot of the hedge fund guys and a lot of the big tech guys, those are the guys that usually do business. You know what I mean? That's the big hedge funds are the ones where, you know, they are the people who do the screwing usually, right? So what happened? Places like Robinhood stopped people from being able to buy GameStop stock. They just stopped. They were only allowed to sell. So again, like we mentioned before, if you sell it, you know, the price goes down, and this is the only thing that they were letting them do. They were only letting people sell. They were not letting people buy. You know, and this is the reason it's such a big issue, is because they're breaking the rules of the free market. Okay, people aren't doing anything illegal. This is perfectly legal. The short squeeze is a perfectly legal thing that people, like, you can do. But, you know, the big tech bros like Robinhood and stuff did not like that this was happening. Now this is this is not illegal. They're just utilizing the same strategies that the hedge fund guys use to make money. But when it comes to average people doing it, it's an issue. You know what I mean? Don't do that. You know what I mean? Don't make money. You know what I mean? Don't no. So that's what happened. And they really are trying to change the rules to bail out the big guys. You know, and they're not letting people who rightfully, and are doing what is a part of the free market. You know what I mean? It's a part of the free market. You know what I mean? And they're coming in and absolutely saving these guys because they're the ones that they usually do business with. You know, the big hedge funds are now being screwed out of their mind, and they don't like it. So they come in and they stop it, which is like this should have been like national news. Like this literally should have been national news, but it's not because they don't care. Excuse me. And it's just so insane to me that something like this can happen. But here is Dave Portnoy going over Portnoy. Hold on, I'm saying last name. But here is Dave, president of Barstool, saying a few things. Sorry.
Okay, emergency press conference time. Maybe the craziest one I've ever done. And I've been ranting and raving all day. But what is going on Wall Street? The way they have absolutely cheated, stolen, robbed everyday people who have been investing with Robinhood and other E-Trade accounts and all this stuff by saying, hey, hedge funds are getting smoked. Billionaires are getting smoked. So we're no longer going to let you trade on certain stocks, GMC, AMC, NOC. We're just shutting it off. You can't buy those stocks anymore. You can only sell them. We are going to crash those stocks so all our hedge fund billionaire friends can get out and not get killed. It is one of the most remarkable, illegal, shocking robberies in the history, in plain sight. In plain sight, no closed door meetings, nothing behind, just right in your face, putting a gun in your mouth and saying, give us all your money. That is what Robinhood, crooks, jail, the Citadel, Ken Griffin, jail, Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, jail, are doing. Right in your face. They couldn't take that people on Wall Street Bets, Reddit, DDTG, fairly, open trade saying we're going to buy this stock, fair and square. We know there's risk. It's going up. We know we're risking our own money, but we want to do it. To then say, sorry, you can't do this anymore. We are going to crash and tank the market because our billionaire hedge funds have shorted these and we don't want them to lose. Suddenly, volatility, we can't let you do it. We can't let you invest and put your money at risk. They have no problem when the hedge funds do it. When the hedge funds risk their firms and their livelihoods, that's fine. But oh, no. When the everyday Jimmy and Joe wants to do it, it's a problem. We got to protect you. They are robbing you. They are stealing from you. This is criminal. The Robinhood CEOs, they belong in jail. Ken Griffin, I just posted an article. He made $6.7 billion on the volatility of the pandemic. Now the volatility is a problem because they're losing. Jail. This is criminal. This is criminal. And the scariest thing is it's in plain sight. They don't want you to win because they want to save their yachts, their mansions, and everything else they have. It's okay for them to risk money and make money. But if you risk money and make money, no, we can't allow that. You don't know what you're doing. The only people who are smart enough or who are allowed to risk more than they have are the hedge funds and the billionaires. And if they lose, we're going to save them. We're going to save them at your expense. We're going to put the gun in your mouth and we're going to take your money and give it back to the billionaires because only they can make money. I have never seen anything quite like this. It's shocking. And the fact that they clearly, Robinhood and Citadel, think they can get away with this, they have to go to prison. There has to be class action lawsuits against all of them. This would be the equivalent. I've said it. If you're in a football game and you go for it on fourth down, you don't get it, and then they call Bob, oh, we'll give you 2 more downs. You can't just change the rules without telling anybody in the middle of the game. Everybody was playing under the same set of rules. You can risk what you have, what your own money is, and if you make money, great. If you lose it, great. This is not fair. The billionaires, the hedge funds are saying, sorry, we are going to stop letting you buy these stocks. You can only sell them. We're going to crash the market to get our money back. And all you people who got fucked, well, fuck you. Robinhood, prison. I spit a little bit. Just, I wish that spit went in the Robin Hood's eyes. The irony, Robin Hood, who said free trade, and Robin Hood, we take from the rich to give to the poor. No, you don't. It's reverse. You steal from the poor and give it back to the rich. You fucking scumbags. Okay.
As you can tell, Dave is pretty mad about all of this. And so should a bunch of other people. A lot of other people should be very angry about this. But I mean, people were for like a day and then nothing after that, you know. But I think this is really cool. Something that I really love because, you know, it's people like Dave that can reach people like millions of people and let them know what's happening. That is like so extremely needed, you know. Because if not, this would be brushed under the rug and just never talked about again, you know. Here is Gavin Wax. He was he's the president of the I think he was for the Young Republicans for New York, I think. But here is him doing the We Occupy Wall Street when it like first started happening.
But look, we came out here today. This is a bipartisan show of support. We put out appeals to the left, to the right, to the middle, to whoever. This is an issue of transparency. This is an issue of corruption. This is an issue of double standards in society that we're so sick of seeing. And we wanted to come out here. We wanted to play off of the old vestiges of Occupy Wall Street about 12 years ago, whatever the hell it was. And honestly, it's kind of a shame because what's happened the past week is almost just as bad as what happened 10 years ago. But no one's talking about it. I can't wait for them to make the movies about what happened. I can't wait for them to make all the shows about what happened. Because what happened was a bunch of anonymous nobodies, Joe Schmoes, the people that you walk by every day, the people that you'll never recognize on the street, they've gathered together. They used their collective force and action to bring down hedge funds. They brought down multiple hedge funds. We have Leon Cooperman crying his crocodile tears on CNBC. Give me a break. These guys short companies into the ground. Into the ground. Businesses like AMC. You want to talk about AMC? It's a movie theater. Everyone loves going to the movies. Why is the price down? Because no one could go to the movies and these guys are trying to finish them off? I mean, come on. Come on, it's a joke what these guys are doing. And everyone wants to talk about, oh, the short squeeze, the short squeeze. The short squeeze was a legitimate response to over-shorting an asset. They over-shorted it, what was it, 50% overfloat? These guys made how much money? And they didn't think anyone was going to call their bet, call off their bluff? When it hit $40, what were they doing? When it hit 50, 60, 70, they waited to $400 to start shitting their pants? Give me a break. Calling Janet Yellen because she's bankrolling in her speaking fees. Who's paying $1 million to hear what Janet Yellen has to say? I got you guys out here in the cold and I barely know what I'm saying. No one's paying me. I mean, it's a joke. It's a total joke. And then they're making all their phone calls, they're moving all these things around to do what? To bail themselves out because they finally got beat at their own game. And now they want to change the rules again. That's what they're talking about. They're on CNBC. They're talking about changing the rules. They want to make it so nobody can make money. They want to make it so all of you guys have to keep working your BS 9-to-5s and you can't become autonomous. You can't make money on your own. You can't make money through trading or whatever it is. They want to perpetuate their institutional wealth within their own little closed game, and everyone else can just, they get nothing. They get nothing. So they're going to change the rules to make sure this never happens again because they're upset that the plebs stood up, that the rabble stood up, and they made a big scene, they make a big dent. So that's why we're here today, to keep the pressure on, to keep the press on. We got to keep holding the line. We got to keep letting our voices be heard because there's a realignment happening in this country between right and left, center, whoever. Everyone sees the corruption. It's been exposed. It's been on full display. Everyone's mad. We may disagree on some things here and there. We may disagree on some policy, but this is blatant corruption. This is theft.
Okay.
This is fraud.
So that was basically the gist of what he was saying and why he was there. You can see this is a pretty big issue. You know what I mean? I know this happened like a week or two ago, but I feel like this should have been a way bigger story than it was, because this was, again, they're breaking the free market. They're breaking the rules of the free market. You know what I mean? They're keeping average people from making money. Earlier I said, who would have thought that GameStop would be at the center of all of this? And responding to this whole fiasco was AOC. AOC had this to say. Okay? Oh my goodness. She said, "This is unacceptable. We now need to know more about at Robinhood app's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock while hedge funds are freely able to trade stock as they see fit. As a member of the Financial Services Committee, I support a hearing if necessary." So, Ted Cruz replied with an "I agree," showing some bipartisanship, which I thought was pretty cool. But we spoke too soon because this is AOC we're talking about here. She replied with this gem. Right? So you can see he says, "I agree." She says, "I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out." Murdered. He was almost murdered, you hear that? "Happy to work with almost any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed." Oh my gosh. So, I'll work with Republicans to deal with this issue, except you. I don't like you. I'll work with anyone else but you. Or that guy or that one. I don't like him either. Actually, I lied. I won't work with any of you. Is basically how it would go down. Now, many of you may be wondering what her near-death experience might be. Well, I'll let you hear what she let her describe it to you.
Basically, I go into the back, and there's a bathroom, and then there's a closet. And I jump into the bathroom, and I immediately realized that I shouldn't have gone into the bathroom. I should have jumped in the closet. And so I open the door when all of a sudden I hear that whoever was trying to get inside got into my office. And then I realized that it's too late. That it's too late for me to get into the closet. And so I tried to I go back in and I hide back in the bathroom behind the door. And then I just start to hear these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?" And I just thought to myself, they got inside.
Okay, so I'm going to explain what happened, right? It's all over. She said it herself. It's all over. It's time to lay down and SpongeBob cry. And she goes on about how her life was flashing before her eyes right before her imminent death, and her last thought was you. Yeah, it was you. That was her last thought. That her legacy would be carried on, that her purpose was fulfilled, and goes on about I was raised in a spiritual context. And if this was the plan for her life, then so be it. You hear that? So be it. So just like Mr. Joe Potato Brain, AOC claims to be a Catholic. And like I've said about Joe Potato Brain, that you cannot support things that directly infringe upon some of the major core values of Catholicism or Christianity, like abortion. You cannot claim that belief when you actively support these things. It goes against the whole thing. You just can't. You know what I mean? So, am I buying it? Absolutely not. I think it's a bunch of bull. So just listen to this. Hear what she has to say after.
My brain was able to have so many thoughts in that moment, between these screams and these yells of, "Where is she? Where is she?" And so I go down and I thought I was going to die. And I had a lot of thoughts. You have a lot of thoughts, I think, when you're in a situation like that. And also one of those thoughts that I had was, I just happened to, be a spiritual person and be raised in that context. And I really just felt like, if this is the plan for me,
Oh my god, if this is the plan for me.
then people will be able to take it from here. I had a lot of thoughts, but that was the thought that I had about you all.
Yep.
I felt that if this was the journey that my life was
You see the waterworks?
that I felt that things were going to be okay. And that, I had fulfilled my purpose.
Slow clap for you, AOC. Slow clap for you. You should get an Oscar for that, man. Like, she pulled out the tears. She pulled out all the stops. And then she continues on, talking about, where is she? Where is she? The person yelling was, ready? A police officer. Yep. A police officer come to save her. From, you would ask, nothing, because the Cannon building she was in had no protesters in it. So she was saved from nothing, from no one, but she almost died. She almost died, guys. She almost died. So instead of being grateful, she was absolutely I'll play the clip for you, but she is absolutely ungrateful in every way. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, there's a cop, I'm safe, And instead of that, this woman, okay, this woman gets mad. She's mad that the officer is looking at her with angry eyes. My angry eyes. So the cop was looking at her with some angry eyes and didn't use his polite voice. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sure the man has other things to worry about other than like, I'm sorry. I'm sure there were other things happening that day, that were a lot more important and a lot more stressful. But, here's ALC being extremely ungrateful.
But then it didn't feel right. Because he was looking at me with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility. And things weren't adding up. Like, there was no partner there. And no one was yelling. He wasn't yelling like, this is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police. And he was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility.
All this anger and hostility. Oh my gosh. Freaking SpongeBob crying on the floor. But then she goes on about how the cop created a volatile environment. And that she was upset that he was telling them where to go and what to do to, get to safety, just in case the protesters went into the Cannon building. But following this amazing storytelling, like she was in the middle of a freaking Die Hard scene, Nancy Mace comes out saying that AOC was nowhere near the Capitol building and was nowhere near where the riots were taking place, that they're right next to each other. So here is Nancy Mace's tweet. Boom. So you can see, it says, AOC made clear she didn't know who was at her door. Breathless attempts by the media to fan fictitious news flames are dangerous. My office is 2 doors down. Insurrectionists never stormed our hallway. Egregious doesn't even begin to cover it. Is there nothing MSN won't politicize? That's what Nancy Mace had to say, which I thought is hilarious. But It's just funny, you know. But she was telling her story as if she was in the midst of it all. You know what I mean? Like people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is crazy." Oh, on her live, people were losing their freaking head because she was telling the story as if her office was in the Capitol building. It was no. It was like a whole. There was a street separating the whole thing. You know, but as soon as this comes out that she had no contact with the riot whatsoever, upon finding this out, she then proceeds to send a mass email out to her supporters, her little brown shirts, her little Bolshevik army, to flag and report any content that calls her out on her BS. Here is that email. Boom. So as you can see, it says identify any posts that are threatening or harassing and use the built-in report features to flag them for moderators. Facebook and Twitter both have built-in tools for reporting posts and tweets that break the rules. Hear that? You break the rules. There it is. She goes in and then calls on her army to get big tech to help her out. And no red flags. No red flags there, guys. This is like normal stuff. It's not like this similar things have happened in the past. No, sir. Not at all. Have led to much worse things. But call me crazy, I guess. History doesn't matter. Whatever. But I don't really know why she didn't think that people would fact check this. Like, did she not think anybody like would fact check this at all? And it was so funny because as soon as she got caught up, right? For a little bit, just for a little bit, there was a hashtag Alexandria Ocasio Smollett, which is absolutely hilarious. And then she got real angry and doubled down on her claim, saying that this is manipulation from the right. Hear that? Manipulation from the right. So in this tweet, she says, "This is the oh my goodness, I didn't take that other one off. Oh wait, no, driven. This is the latest manipulative take on the right. They're manipulating the facts that most people don't know the layout of the Capitol complex. We were all on the Capitol complex. The attack wasn't just on the dome. The bombs Trump supporters planted surrounded our offices too." Man. Man, oh man. So she says that this is a manipulation from the right, but people were calling her out on these claims. Her claiming that it was manipulation, you know, saying that people don't know the layout of the Capitol building, and that she was in danger because she was surrounded by bombs, as you saw. Well, like first of all, and she says the bombs were planted by Trump supporters. I mean, like first of all, like the bomb, you don't know that. The FBI doesn't even know that. The FBI has come out and said that they don't know who planted bombs. So that's like absolutely wrong. So here's that. You can see the FBI come out and say this. They say pipe bombs were found near the headquarters of the RNC and DNC, Washington, D.C. Nowhere near the Cannon building. She is in the Cannon building. So her saying that the bombs were her surrounding her is false. It's just wrong. It's just I have absolutely no idea why she didn't think that people would fact check this. And then second, she says that people don't know the Capitol layout. Well, lucky for you, we have a map and Google. So look, this at the top. You can see in the square. That's where the Capitol riots were taking place, AOC is right at the bottom. She's way at the bottom. There is a whole street that is separating them. She is nowhere freaking near where anything was happening, which is hilarious to me. So hilarious. So you can see she was nowhere near the riots. She's completely and totally irrelevant to this whole situation. She is irrelevant. She had no real say in anything that happened because she wasn't even freaking there. She wasn't even there. But this is a recurring theme with leftist ideology. It really is. It's completely self-serving. I said this in the past. It's completely self-serving, totally narcissistic, and 100% disconnected from all reality because she wasn't even there. And she was making this whole thing about how she almost died and how she was almost murdered. Give me a break. Jeez. This woman is a pathological liar. She is a pathological liar. Now, why would you say that? I mean, she freaking lies about everything. Like, and I know everyone said that about Trump, but let us not forget. Let us not forget when she went to go protest kids in cages. See that? Just the dreaded kids in cages. Oh my God, she's just so angry, so sad. Oh wait, no, that's actually just an empty parking lot. That's just it's not an actual thing that happened. It's not real. No. She was yelling at an empty parking lot. But she went to go out and say that she was protesting, kids in cages. That's what she said. But it turned out that she was just yelling at an empty and she said something later in her live that I thought was very, very, very peculiar. Keep in mind, she totally, completely was like saying verifiably false things, like they were true, and she was completely irrelevant from the whole situation. But she continued to make herself the victim. Continued to say how Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley were trying to kill her, almost had her murdered. Like, please. Oh my gosh. But here's just something really, really interesting that I saw that she said during her whole 90-minute freaking mouth garbage.
As a survivor, I struggle with the idea of being believed.
I wonder why. I really wonder why people don't believe you and don't believe everything you say when you're called out for saying verifiably false things. Like, excuse me for not wanting to believe you after you've lied multiple times and have been called out for it multiple times. Like, man, sorry that I don't believe everything that comes out of your mouth. But not only does she say things that are false, but she has said things and done things that have directly led to real world violence. What about the time she posted a picture on how to safely protest? How to safely protest. What to wear? Nondescript, solid color, layered clothing, cover identifying tattoos. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to cover identifying tattoos while exercising your legal right that you have, that you won't be arrested for? Goggles and a mask, emergency contacts written down, heat-resistant gloves. Why you would need heat-resistant gloves? No idea. Tie your hair up, make sure you don't get your hair ripped out of your... water for drinking and tear gas. Yep, water for drinking and tear gas. Don't forget the snacks. Don't forget, your change, your washcloth, and your earplugs, because it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud. It's going to be loud. You want to protect those ears. First aid. Cell phone. But first, you got to turn off the Face and Touch ID. Put it on airplane mode and disable your data. because that's not sus at all. Don't bring jewelry or things that you don't want to be arrested with, like knives or weed or any sort of other drugs, because who knows what. Our contact lenses. So you know she posted that on how to safely safely protest, and what ensued was the 2020 Summer of Love, with over $2 billion in property damage. $2 billion in property damage. Over 1,000 police casualties, 47 of which of those 1,000 died. Over 30 civilian murders. So, what a wonderful summer of love, right? So, BLM Incorporated did all of this. This was the summer of love that we and they were nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize because they were mostly peaceful, mostly peaceful. So let's take a look at some footage of the mostly peaceful summer of love.
This is mostly a protest.
That's like 5-story tall building right there. That's completely engulfed. Yes, now Wendy's is on fire, y'all.
Beautiful summer of love, right? It was just so full of hugs, kisses, and warmth. So awesome. That clip was from my boy Earl Weber. If you're in Cali, I highly suggest looking into either Earl Weber or Joe Collins candidates for governor of the state of California, because Gavin Newsom is garbage that does not know how to run anything at all. He's not good. He's not good at his job. And if you're trying to defend him, I don't really know how you're going to do that, because he really truly is just absolute garbage. This man does not know how to run a state. So we're getting pretty close. Reminder, if you haven't done it, please, you can go on, I think it's recallgavinnewsom.com, print out the petition, sign it, and then send it in, because the sooner that we can get this bastard out of here, the better our state might become. But regardless of all of this, them, Biden winning and stuff, literally Biden winning and then literally just being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, literally last Saturday, February 6th, they went to go protest in Washington, D.C. For what? They protest for just about anything now, so I'm not really sure what they're protesting about, but here's a clip. If we don't get it, burn it down. If we don't get it, burn it down. Like, you have President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump, say to peacefully and patriotically protest, and he incited a insurrection. You have literally groups of people chanting, "If we don't get it, burn it down." No issue. No news coverage, nothing. Doesn't matter. It's so crazy to me. So crazy to me how people are as blind as they are. They see this. It's like it's in front of your eyes. You know what I mean? The founders of BLM have come out and explicitly said that they are Marxists. Like, That's not a hidden thing. It's not like something that's like they try to hide. They come out and say that they're Marxists. The founders of BLM come out and say that they're Marxists. So I don't understand why people are so surprised by this. Or even when they see it, they do everything in their power to somehow justify it, which I have no idea how you do. And then after all of this, they get in a little kumbaya circle and and do what I can only describe as cult-like behavior.
We are here tonight because Black Lives Matter. We are here tonight because Black Lives Matter. Despite Black Lives Mattering, Black people are still dying. At the hands of the police. Paid for by our tax dollars. So we're going to read the story of a black man, of a black comrade, who was taken by the police.
Comrade. Poor choice of words, my friend. Poor choice of words. Now again, this is really like only I can like this is they're just like cult vibes. Like straight up cult vibes. Like I understand chanting. You know what I mean? If you're like protesting and you're chanting and stuff, I understand that. But they are like verbatim, like copying what this dude is saying. Like this is like straight up cult like behavior. You can't tell me that that wasn't weird. You can't tell me that like that was not freaking some just weirdo shit. Some real weirdo stuff. Now, how and why they were nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize is beyond me. I mean, I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? But it's beyond me. And like I really do feel like we live in like an opposite world right now because like on the one hand, you have cities being burned down, people being murdered, billions of dollars of damages, businesses being looted, destroyed, and you get a Nobel Peace Prize. And then on the other, you have some conservatives who riot and storm the Capitol, which was denounced immediately by every major conservative talking head. Every single one of them came out and was talking about and saying how it was unacceptable, that it was wrong, it shouldn't have happened. Immediately, something you never, ever, ever see on the other side. You just don't. You see the opposite. You see the encouraging of it. You see the encouragement of it from major leftist talking heads, and no one says anything. No one says anything. They give directions on how to safely protest AOC. But what happens? Every single person that was there in DC on January 6th, even the 99% of people who were there to express their voice and express their right and exercise their right, are now labeled domestic terrorists. You tell me how that works, because I have no idea. I don't understand how you can have these two things happening, right? Both of which are horrible, wrong, and you have one side praised for it, absolutely praised for the murder of people, for the burning down of buildings, looting of small business, and destruction of businesses, and they're praised for it. You have this something similar happen with conservatives that was denounced immediately, and now they're called domestic terrorists. I don't understand how this is gonna work. I don't understand how that works at all, whatsoever. But, I mean, again, I feel like we live in opposite worlds, so whatever the woke mob wants to call progressive, I guess, whatever. Will we survive the fall of the Republic? I do not know. I always get so sad at the end of these videos because um the news is so upsetting. You got all these crazy people doing crazy things, trying to destroy your country. But, you just got to keep on going, keep a smile on your face and be as happy as you can be, right? But this has been another episode of the Evening Talk Show. I'm Ethan Soto, your favorite Zoomer. And remember, think critically when you're I. Don't be afraid to be brave. Bless.